So when you think about Salesforce and AI, the first and foremost area is to identify key use cases in your sales and service org, right? Like you may be able to do a lot of other things eventually, but the most impact that you can make with AI is in sales and service. For most organizations, I think the crawl itself, depending on how quickly your organization does this, what I'm seeing is, companies are looking at this from like a 3-month horizon to like a 12, 15, 18-month horizon. And I suspect some of the early movers will then get into walk maybe in 6, 9, 12 months.
Veracity is probably the most important V in all this. Veracity here means the quality, right? What is the standard of this data, right? Like how reliable is this data? So garbage in, garbage out is usually what ends up happening. Bad data, bad outputs. But this is the largest issue. Like back to the crawl, walk, run, data is the thorn that you're probably going to run on. So you have to clear those thorns out. Or data quality and veracity and variety are the thorns you're going to crawl on. If you crawl on those without a lot of preparation, you're going to get hurt really bad and you're never going to walk.
So when you think about it, fundamentally, we are all asked to do more with less, right? And what the trend is, specifically if I take up sales, is that we are trying to move away from transactional interactions to personalized interactions, from unstructured data and, to actionable insights, from the grunt work of sorting data, again, data, to automating some of these areas and helping reduce that manual overhead, error rates, things like that. Do you want to start with something where I'm like, I can just immediately start using it in my enterprise context? So you want low nuance in terms of technical complexity and high value in terms of business. Fairly commonsensical way to say, but is it easier said than done? And if they're spending an average of 3 minutes on reading a case detail, you can do this math, and that would be a staggering $6K a day, right? This is for an organization that's got 100 people call center. Vendors come up with any number, don't trust me. Let's assume that this is 10 times this number, right? It is $400,000 and not 40K, and you still save $500,000. That's the kind of ROI analysis you want to do.
IBM actually might have a public case study with Salesforce on how they saved 45 seconds per agent through Salesforce without it, which resulted in huge benefits, right? Just go Google for cost per call or cost per minute for an average B2C call center, and you can do the math. I think you're being conservative here.
Salesforce security layer or Salesforce trust layer or GPTfy security layer, they are trying to retain all the confidential and sensitive data inside Salesforce. So we mask it before it goes out to some AI. If you pick a bring your own model, which is kind of how we operate, so you can bring your own OpenAI on your Azure or your AWS or your GCP and whatever you like, you want to lock the heck out of this thing here. But fundamentally, when people talk about all of this, there are these 6 perspectives, right? In the privacy and ethics, it's not just the legal requirements. It's not just the privacy law requirements. There is a human aspect to it. There is an ethical aspect to it. There is a conversation around money, and there's a conversation about the social impact of it. So here is an option of how you can think about your enterprise apps and generative AI. You have choices of how you're going to enable AI in your organization, and that should be part of your roadmap.
I am seeing the rise of what I'll call ILMs, which are industry language models, where they are purpose-built and trained for a specific industry and therefore have better awareness. I think the key phrase that I would use is co-pilot, not automation, where there is this doom and gloom of AI taking over jobs. No, it's not going to take over people's jobs. Yes, if you're doing that kind of a job of like literally scanning a document and extracting data out of it, if that is your day job for the entire day, perhaps AI is probably going to make that job a little redundant, but that probably is already redundant with digitalization.